Okay, let me welcome you officially at this event. My name is Hanna Pieńczykowska and I represent the British-Polish Chamber of Commerce. But this event was co-organized by a round of great partners. We are here together with the Netherlands-Polish Chamber of Commerce, with the SoftwareONE, which used to be Comparex, with KPMG, and with Spaces, who is hosting us in their very first office in Poland. Yes.
My name is Agnieszka Sybliska. Welcome you on behalf of SoftwareONE and our partners KPMG and Chamber of Commerce, British and Netherlands Chamber of Commerce. We are starting our artificial intelligence workshop. I hope it will be inspiring for all of you. And I think for now we can start. On the stage we are inviting KPMG representative.
Let me explain one more thing. We planned the event very carefully, since we also have guests watching us on a live stream. The first speakers from KPMG, Mr. Rafał Górski and Mr. Andrzej Musiał, will have a presentation on the artificial intelligence and the mega trends in this sector. But we also have a nice tool to measure the time. We have a time cube here. This is a product by a startup called TimeCube, which is going to measure the time. The whole presentation will last for 30 minutes, and well, our audience can also see the cube, which is in front of me. It will show the half of the time with a yellow light, and then 90% of the time when it lapses, the cube will be red. This is a very logical...
like traffic lights.
Yeah, like traffic lights. Yes, so we also want to provide you with a lot of content, but also with no pressure for next speakers. So for now, let me welcome Mr. Rafał Górski and Mr. Andrzej Musiał, who will have a presentation called Artificial Intelligence Forecasts Directions of AI Development that will change business. Let me welcome you to the stage.
Good morning, everybody.
Thank you. Good morning. We are supposed to sit down, right?
All right.
Just one comment for this cube. I just wonder if we get any tickets for crossing the red light. Because, well, the other way around, we can get tickets for speeding. So I don't know what's better. So let's try to keep our presentation concise in time. So let's first let us introduce ourselves. So my name is Andrzej Musiał. I'm a senior manager at KPMG, and I'm working for different industries, delivering projects around customer domain. So how we define customer domain? These are all front-end projects. So I deliver projects from the strategy perspective, from business model perspective, as well as from technology applications. So the topic that we're covering today, so artificial intelligence and its impact on businesses, is something that I do every day on my projects for different clients and in different industries. And hopefully within this time frame, I'll be able to show you a glimpse of what artificial intelligence is actually doing now with businesses and where it can get us to.
All right. Hello, everybody. My name is Rafał Górski. I'm the Automation and Rapid Solutions Lead at KPMG. My team develops the solutions, so all the technologies around artificial intelligence, machine learning, robotics process automation, or another rapid application development tools that support processes to be more effective and digitalize. That's what our team actually tangibly do. And what are we going to talk about today?
So first, before we get into like more detail, artificial intelligence actually is, we start with some strategic priorities of CEOs worldwide, what they think of technologies, how their applications and stuff like that. Then I'll be talking about artificial intelligence impacts on customer experience and operating models. So what it actually means if we look, for example, at a typical value chain. So what artificial intelligence is changing in businesses.
We will also want to take a look on another perspective, from the another perspective of the employee, because AI is making benefits for the end customers, but also looking into the organization inside. It will also support the employees and make their lives better. So that's what we want to talk about today, and close our today presentation with key consideration around AI implementation. What should we think about? What should we remember about when implementing AI? One more comment, I think, because the key theme today was the artificial intelligence is not a science fiction. I thought that I can't agree with that, at least in a half, because artificial intelligence for sure is a science, maybe not necessarily a fiction. And that's what we would like to
let's see
talk
if it's
about.
not a fiction. So to start with, just a brief look of different studies that we do in KPMG, and when we ask the CEOs about how they see their businesses changing. So definitely what they're saying is that they see that they'll be competing on customer experience. As you can see, 89% are agreeing with that. So they see definitely that this is one of the areas in which competitive advantage will be built over time. And this means also that they see this radical transformation of their operating model. So this 71%. Why I'm saying why I'm covering these 2 points is that because I'll be referring later on in my presentation to showing you how digital world and artificial intelligence in particular affects these two areas. So this is, to start with, this is the priority for the CEOs. Then when we look at what they think about leveraging digital and emerging technologies, they say that 45%, they say they're not leveraging digital as a means to connect to their customers effectively. So they still see a gap in what they're doing. So this is, if we look at the first declaration, they say this is the point at which this is the area around which we will build our competitive advantage. And then if you ask them, so are you okay with what you're doing? They say we still see a gap. And then focus on personalization. Then only 24 say that they are exceeding customer expectations. So the gap is even wider, because as we see in our researches around customer experience, what we see is that personalization is the key pillar. This is where you want to be if you want to be a leader in customer experience. So personalization and artificial intelligence, they're very closely interwoven. One comment about how we define artificial intelligence, if we look at it from the level of impact on the business in terms of the level of interaction, the level of engagement of a human. Because what we say is that you cannot have like 0-1 state, so either machines or either humans. We will be interacting somehow. So when we talk about artificial intelligence, we see like a couple of different levels. So if I'll be covering this pyramid from the top with an example. So let's imagine we have a customer of a bank, and the customer is dropping us a line on a chat that I don't understand a £5 charge I have on my account. So if we look at the AI makes decisions for all tasks, which is at the very top, we can say that if we take a look from artificial intelligence perspective, we can have here like machine learning saying, okay, so let's distinguish what is a point at which customer does not understand the structure of fees. And let's look at the cases in which this is a valid complaint, because we can have like this £5 charge can have like different origins. It can be like a customer a bit lost in terms and conditions, and on the other hand, it could be like a valid complaint about charging the account which is not anyhow linked with the terms and conditions. So artificial intelligence at this level what we can say, can simply distinguish these two cases, and in case of a valid complaint, can automatically return the fund to the customer and send like an email with apologies for what happened. But then if we move forward and if we see that this was not a valid complaint, but this was simply a customer not understanding the terms and conditions, we go down and have like highly automated case in which AI makes decisions for routine tasks. So what AI can do here, AI can simply identify that these are these cases, but still leave a room for a human to approve. Because what we can say here, there can be like a case in which this was somehow not like a black and white situation, in which we want a human to intervene, not to lose a customer, for example, right? So if you take a look from customer perspective, it could be good if we have a person there validating the AI recommendations. Then we go down, we have semi-automated, so AI makes the decision and humans confirm before action. So what we can have here, we can have like AI preparing the email responses for these cases with explanations for the customers, why they actually had been charged for this £5. And this can be like different types of a message for different segments, just to adjust the style of communication to a customer. And then we still have AI, we still have a human factor here, and the value added from a human being here is that it will actually see if this style of communication is right, because this is a very, let's say, like a human-like touch point. So you want to have someone who can empathize with a person on the other side, and you can say that I still don't want to leave it to a machine to decide if this style of communication is proper. Then if we move down to assisted, so AI recommends but humans make the decisions, we can imagine a situation in which these customers with £5 refund can be identified by AI as strategic segment, as our premium VIP customers, and we definitely don't want to charge them these £5 because the profit we make on these customers, saying bluntly, is far higher, and these £5 would not like cost us that much. And on the other hand, we have a potential churn of such a customer. So what we say, machine learning can here identify potential VIP customers. And what we say here, it's not like a simple algorithm saying, so this is the VIP customer because these 3-4 demographic criteria are met or behavioral criteria are met. The machine here what can do the stuff like analyzing all patterns of behaviors of this particular customer, comparing it to the rest of the base of our customers, and identify there is like a high probability that this customer is a VIP, but then we still have a human saying, okay, we can classify this customer as a VIP, so we don't charge £5. So this is the point in which we have this assisted AI and human intervention. So if we move forward, here is the value chain I mentioned, and due to time constraints, just let me briefly comment on what we have. So we have like the end-to-end value chain, so from strategy and proposition to marketing, which is attract, then the sales processes like buy, then we have supply chain, delivery of sales, and customer relationship. And as you can see, we have like a number of different types of solutions that are related with artificial intelligence that can be applied in different value chain parts. So just to give you like a couple of examples, in Attract, when we have retail, e-commerce, theater, so Internet of Things as a source of data for AI analysis and defining marketing communication to our customers and prospects. Then we have, for example, Buy, in which we have automated ordering. Then we have in supply chain, we have all these solutions supporting the supply chain management, like warehouse automation or self-driving delivery trucks, automated inventory tracking. These are all the solutions that are now being like in the early adoption and implementation phase. From the sales delivery, just to give you like a very close example to our everyday life, so smart shopping trolleys, for example, which we'll probably will have in quite a short time. We already have some tools supporting us for the checkouts, so these smart shopping trolleys can easily then give us recommendations for the promotions when we are shopping, or give us like recommendations on the kind of recommendations we know from the online world, right? So when we make an online purchase, we have like recommendations, so others bought stuff like that, so we can easily have it in supermarkets with trolleys in future. So let's move on. So coming back for a while to keyboard level dilemmas, and I'm just talking briefly about some other questions for CEOs. So trust in AI insights, like half-half. What CEOs are saying, they're less confident about the accuracy of predictive analytics than historic data. So what they say, we still feel more comfortable with the, like, let's say, like old school type of leading the business. So I trust more in historical data, in which because that's the way I operated in the past. And this is, let's say, like a bit risk-averse model of leading. Compared to trusting in predictive analysis. Customer data protection, and here we have like two perspectives. So one perspective is, okay, we need to make sure that there are no breaches in security, so customers would not kind of lose trust in us and simply go away. So this is one thing, but also the other thing when we talk about customer data protection is from the other perspective. So the business perspective, I don't want to lose access to customer data, because without customer data, I won't be able to personalize, to do any kind of AI. We will be talking about it in the end, if you want to have like AI working, you need to have like huge set of data to make sure that this AI can learn from that. So if you think of GDRP being implemented last year, and you know, like a rising awareness of customers about their data, this is one of the key success factors. Make sure that customers trust you to give you access to the data, and on the other hand, make sure that you have this access, right? So this is like a very linked kind of approach. Then we have impact on future jobs. So what CEOs are believing is that AI will create more jobs that it eliminates. If we look at the stage at which we are right now, when we talk about AI, the typical thinking is rather eliminating mundane routine tasks. But I mean, over time, this can change because AI, this is more robots that replace humans in these mundane routine tasks, like more advanced AIs. They create like new kinds of challenges because you need to have the right skills and competences to manage organizations that are led by these AI insights. Oh, it's yellow, the cube.
It's been yellow for 5 minutes already.
Okay. So, right, just these are the pillars we use when we talk about customer experience. So I'll be not covering them much. What I want to say simply is that if you look at AI and cognitive automation, this is the kind of digital solution that addresses all these pillars that as you can easily see, combined with data analytics typically. So what we say, the magnitude of these AI applications is very vast. I mean, you can have like a number of different business solutions, as I covered when I talk about value chain, and you impact like very different types of emotions when you talk about customer experience. So this is very powerful. Here we have like just a couple of cases. So from McDonald's, you have real-time analytics, personalized content for the app users, considering the location, weather, time of day, stuff like that, right? So you get like you give like very personalized experience. Under Armour, so providing users with real-time database coaching. Metrobank, cognitive analysis, personal finance advice and recommendations. Kroger, so it's autonomous vehicles. You can have ordering to place same-day delivery orders with autonomous vehicles. Just to give you like a couple of examples from different industries that it is changing the world, right? So you have like different cases, and this we observe it like every day.
All right, we've got a movie here, but I'm afraid we don't have enough time to play it. Just maybe in a short narrative from me. It's the example that Andrzej went through before, is showing what kind of levels of artificial intelligence do we have today. There's a tool developed by KPMG, and that's a surprise maybe for part of you that KPMG is making tools. Yes, we do. There's a tool having the artificial intelligence, natural language processing, and also robotics process automation, which supports the contact center person. In that case, when the customer is concerned about the overdraft fee that he was charged. So the artificial intelligence identifies the customer, it gives the email, the proposition of the email that the customer service consultant should send. Customer service consultant makes the decision about sending it, or he can or she can tweak the mail before sending. And then also artificial intelligence supports him for identifying if the customer is frustrated, what kind of mood has the customer when communicating with us, and also to identify if it is a high-value customer or not. So it impacts the decision of the real person, real human, making them by himself. So one of two messages from that is that KPMG is making the tools, and the other one is that actually the artificial intelligence didn't replace the person. It gave the more reliable data and insights for making that decision and making the process more effective. So thinking of AI, we should take three perspectives, I think, because we were talking about the happier customers, the customer experience that AI can have impact on. Of course, naturally, we can talk about the process efficiency, because why we do it? We do it very often for money, yeah? So if we can have people who are armed with better tools, with better insights, the process goes more effective. Also, people are not concentrating on routine tasks, for example, because that's what AI can do. And in the end of the day, because maybe I will ask a question, who likes to do the repetitive manual task? One person, two people here. All right. Yeah, but still, there are many of us who are not necessarily eager to do that. I prefer sometimes when I'm very tired, I like to, in the end of the day, make some repetitive work. However, much of us like very much to make something more creative. So that's the point where artificial intelligence and robotics process automation can help. And then we have more satisfied customers.
If I just briefly add one comment here, Rafał, because we just discussed today morning, so there are some studies on the market saying that this approach to AI, so is it like more front end, so happier customers, or is it more like effective processes or optimization? Is it something that differs and in any sense, for example, geographically? So what we noticed that if you talk about America, they talk more about front end. When we talk about Europe, the discussion is more about optimizing processes. So this is a bit of different perspective geographically about where this AI can support the organizations.
Coming back to employee experience, another question. Who does not have issues with employees retention or recruitment? Nobody? Right, that's the correct answer, because as we examined the chiefs and directors of HR and different departments, it turned out that employee retention and recruitment are two biggest issues actually on the market, on the employment marketplace right now. For example, 1/5 of companies has issues with the retention of the highly educated specialists, which is pretty important, because there's a place where artificial intelligence, machine learning, robotics, all that, sometimes buzzwords, yeah, but actually behind that there are technologies that come that can help at one place fill up the gap of people that we want to hire and we have issues with. And the second thing, if our employees make job that they love, if they feel engaged, involved, and do ambitious tasks, the probability that they will leave our company is smaller. So a couple of examples, thinking about a satisfied employee. Actually, it's very simplified customer path. Oh, I have 3 minutes only. Recruitment, we have chatbots that we can build our company as an innovative brand, and we can and at the same time optimize the process of recruitment, because the chatbots can, and AI can identify the best candidates and make the initial talks with them and cut off the candidates that probably are not the best match here. Day-to-day work, if we have our customer service operation person, he doesn't have to write the same mail each time again and align it to the particular customer. AI makes it for him. Also, we have AI that our Polish KPMG team is building for interpretation, law interpretation searching, which is not so effective, and we have different cases. We have AI, which does it for our researchers. So that's what we do here. And employment, when we have HR interaction about the annual leaves, sick leaves, or, for example, another question about the, I don't know, payment, trainings. We can make the chatbots and AI for that. Also, there's a case for AI making decision about or suggesting decision about the promotions and remuneration. So that's a thing. Message here: AI is kind of the big word. Behind we have different technologies: natural language processing, machine learning, big data analytics, adaptive alteration. There are many of them, and they are quite advanced. However, the question is if our Polish companies here are already ready to implement them. What we do and what kind of technologies can help in the first place is our first level, so robotics process automation. We do heaps of implementation of robotics. There's a software emulating the work of the employee. So what kind of work can that robot do? For example, if we have the invoices, we have many invoices, there's heaps of manual tasks, repetitive tasks to be done. So that kind of RPA bot can, at first, launch the financial and accounting system as the human, and sign into his own robot's account as a human. In the second, the bot can identify and download from the mail scanned invoices. Then the bot identifies the different types of invoices. So there's the intelligence there, the AI and machine learning also to learn what kind of groups of documents do we have. Then for each of group, we can teach the bot how to identify the data that we're interested in. For example, we have an invoice. We have invoice number. We have invoice issue date. Yeah, we have the data object and can make all the necessary operations there. So instead of one person reading the invoices and putting all the data from invoices into the system and making it and accounting them in the end, all that thing is done by the bot on the existing systems also. So on the company perspective, the company does not have to change the actual systems right now. We are heading towards the end, and the key success factors for implementation of AI, artificial intelligence. One more comment, maybe before we leave and finish. I'll be there also during the whole event. So if you have any questions about the tools, about the bots, RPA, artificial intelligence, OCR, and machine learning, please reach out to me. I'll be somewhere here in the lobby, and don't hesitate to do that.
Yeah. So maybe just a brief comment with this. 5 key boxes. So define the scope of value-driven cases. So make sure the AI implementation you're doing will give you the right return you expect. Then you have the data ecosystem. So make sure you have the data to work on, because AI is about data. Without data, you cannot teach the machine to perform the tasks you want it to.
Yeah, and the volume is very important because it's something that companies forget about. We had a case also here that we got like 30 interpretations initially to learn the bot. It's not enough. It's much less. The human wouldn't learn on that kind of data, and artificial intelligence neither. Another thing is identify applicable technologies. So it's always case-by-case analysis. We have different cases, different processes that we want to digitalize, and that kind of analysis should be done. And also, agile test approach is a very important thing. So we can test and learn if that, but make a proof of concept, proof of technology project that we can identify if this technology fits our purpose. implementation integration, it's very important to look at the data that we have, databases, and look how we can integrate our machine into our current IT environment. What kind of work should we do before launching it live?
Yeah, and cultural transformation. So in other words, provide the right glue to stick it all together, because if you don't have the proper transformation in place, what you end up with is the technology dealing with some data and not giving you back the right return, because there will be no trust in the insights, there will be no reskilled workforce, and there will be no open collaborative culture treating the AI as a part of the overall culture of your company. Thank you very much.
All right, only one statistic, merely 21% of executives stated that bots and AI will execute most of processes by 2030. I mean that it's going to be the really high adoption here. 80% will say that AI will be everywhere, in every process. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Rafał. Thank you, Andrzej, for your presentation. A lot of food for thought, and we will be moving to a discussion at the very end of the event. But as Rafał said, if you have questions about the solutions that KPMG offers in the area of artificial intelligence, please feel free to ask the questions in the break. Well, a lot of interesting examples. I think this is also worth mentioning that the public administration also works on AI solutions. And when you, Rafał, mentioned the law analysis that is being done, I don't know if you heard of the artificial intelligence solutions replacing judges, and to replace judges in very easy cases, also in the Polish system, to kind of, take the burden of the volume of cases. But we were talking about the mega trends, and now we will move on to examples and some more practical view on the artificial intelligence. And I would like to invite to the stage Jarosław Wilk from SoftwareONE and Piotr Darwaj from IBM Polska, who will be talking about how to implement AI solutions in business and what benefits it can bring.
Hello, good morning. My name is Piotr Darwaj. I'm from IBM.
Hello, my name is Jarosław Wilk. I'm from SoftwareONE.
So, let's start. Just, we have another 30 minutes, and this time, if you have any questions, please ask them right now. I think let's make it interactive. And anything which comes to your mind, don't hesitate. Please do ask. Is it artificial intelligence not a science, not a fiction anymore? It's reality. And this is the theme we would like you to prove today, that it's no time to wait. It's already there in many cases, although sometimes we are not very aware of that fact. So let's talk about business and benefits, and that would be another theme which we'd like to talk through, whether what help us to adopt or what stop us to adopt these new models, new way of behavior, new way of how we use IT within the business. Before that, let's introduce ourselves.
Yes, so today I will be trying to challenge Piotr and artificial intelligence, asking some difficult questions and waiting for his answers. But the first question is to you, to the audience. So how many of you, can you raise your hand, believe that really artificial intelligence is not a science fiction, it's not only a buzzword, but it is a real life technology that we can use today in our businesses? Okay, so something around more than half of the people attending the show, so it's very good for Piotr, more difficult for me. Because I will be trying right now show some challenges and some problems about artificial intelligence and try to find out solutions and try to find out if Piotr can show me those solutions, so how we can implement this to our businesses.
I'm surprised. I'm surprised by the number of hands, because today my job was to show you the benefits and really to show how it is already used in practice. By then, I don't think so the journey has started, but it's not finished. I'm from IBM, I'm a consultant, so my biggest question I will ask to myself and to my clients is what for to use the technology. So that it's also the topic for today. Before we start,
Piotr, there are many acronyms around artificial intelligence. So can you tell us right now, first of all, explain those acronyms and tell us right now what really is artificial intelligence? Is it just a buzzword, a mathematical method to solve some problems, or a real-life technology that we can use right now?
AI, ML, DL. AI already has mentioned today, artificial intelligence. One sentence definition is the method and the use how the computers can mimic us. As simple as it. It's either doing the tasks or help or making the decisions for us or replacing us. This is the from science fiction, always like that. How the computers can mimic people's decision, behavior, and actions. So it is very promising, and the literature has lots of stories around it. But what's the other aspects? Let's talk about it later. ML, machine learning. Machine learning is basically the ability that computer systems can learn from from history, and based on that, predict. Deep learning, it's another aspect. So it's a machine learning which uses big data, lots of data. Normally, we've been using lots of structured data, like numbers. Now you have music, you have videos, you have all kinds of data which are very difficult to understand for machines, but easy for us to understand by us as humans. Like, for example, this picture. How to make conclusions what's on this picture. For us, it's obvious. It's a kind of the cloud, some symbols, maybe a person. How computer can understand that? That's the challenge for computers. And so today we'll be talking more about deep learning. So basically statistics, big data, and how to make it practical. So AI, it's a big term. About from computer science perspective, from actually using that, deep learning, which is making more interest. How to use in a practical way all vast of data which we are flooded. And we know that it was a buzzword for over decades before. So in short, how we can benefit from using deep learning in business. First, to find patterns in data. And it should be said here, big data, unstructured data, lots of data. So now the challenge is not about having access to the data, but we are rather overwhelmed with the data. So deep learning can help us draw conclusions, which is the second bullet out of that, is to predict values. So we have the history, but we would like to focus on what next. And then that was some like the theme of this discussion, is it science fiction? So I would say it's not a science fiction, it is statistics. The artificial intelligence is based on statistics. It's nothing new. This is the concept which has been developed in the 70s on the 20th century. What has changed right now is that this can be effectively executed using our IT systems. So they are now very much powerful. So this interpretation of this picture can be done in milliseconds, not because of that we have new methods. No, it's the crunching numbers is very fast. So the TensorFlow or matrix calculations are now very performant. So really the change in a recent years is not about theoretical fundamentals of that, but rather that we can, in a practical way, do it. We can crunch numbers fast to predict and make us better advices for decision.
So, Piotr, when we take a look at our market right now, it's not so popular in real life. We talk a lot about it.
I don't think so. It is popular. Everybody already has raised their hands.
But so maybe the next question, how many of you really use it right now in your business? So can you raise your hand? Yeah. So now we see the difference. So
yes, I see.
We talk a lot about it. It's very popular to talk about artificial intelligence, about those solutions. We are really excited about it, but not so many people use it in their business right now. So why it is so?
And so we are tricky persons because we have prepared slides, so we just navigate to one slide. I don't know to which extent are you familiar with this curve, which is the hype cycle. Yeah? Shall I explain? So briefly explain. So there are two axes. First is expectations, which is why. Higher you are, it's more expectations toward technology. And then the time frame, kind of the adoption pattern. So the if it works, we'll see. The deep learning is right on the top. What does it mean? Lots of expectations. It's a new golden key to all the troubles which we are facing. Maybe it can make the happy customers, happy employer, make our processes more effective. So that's the expectations. We are here. Maybe that was also the reason why you had the very first question, you have raised your hand. But now there is another dimension. How much time would it take to really implement it, which is like a light blue, 2 to 5 years. But before it comes to implementations, the expectations out of that really will decrease, which is the very repetitive pattern for the new technologies adoptions. What does it mean? That we start to find out the areas where it makes sense to adopt, but also we find the barriers or the things which are not very good, not preventing us really to using that. Let's to make a comment. When I was a student, it was 3-tier architecture as a computer systems architecture. And that time I thought, whoa, it's great. You have user interface, you have logic, and you have the databases, like 3 tiers. But now it's something standard. It works in some of the cases, in some of not. So now it's a wow stage, but really to find the good examples, and our colleagues from KPMG were showing some of them, already we are in front of that. So make that in mind. So some of it of critical success factors, find the business benefits, where it makes sense, is a critical decision at the very, very beginning of your journey toward artificial intelligence. It's nothing new. With every new business, every technology and business decision, you need to make it, but make it consciously, taking into account what does it offer.
Okay, Piotr, so let's move right now to real business benefits. So how it can make our business, our companies earn more money, how it can make our business more effective, and what's also very important, how it can make our life more secure, increase safety in production, in our business that we do every day. So please present us some real life examples.
Okay. If it works, yes. So examples. So instead of theory, now go to some ideas. First, it's around the big data, using a massive of data. And here I would like to stress that artificial intelligence, deep learning, is nothing much more than statistics. Second, computer vision. I gave some examples about how to interpret a picture. Let's do it a little bit more. And text-to-speech, also our colleagues were already showing some ideas. But there are some more and more things which can be used. But let's focus on these 3 for now. So, insurance price optimization. Case is simple. We do all drive. Most of us drive. Sometimes we do have accidents. And so for insurance company, predicting who is more likely to make an accident is a vital element of their business model. Of course, it's done right now as well. Of course, it's nothing new. But what can be done right now using IT and using new statistical and neutral networks as well, that you can include far more elements in assessing what's influencing the likelihood to have an accident, or even more, to have a likelihood of the accident which is cost us as an insurance company a large fee to be paid to the recipient, to the insurer. So in this example, the AXA has said we have defined 70 characteristics which should be taken into account while assessing the likelihood. And it's pure statistics. The thing is that this vector of 70 characteristics can be very long, and we have enough power to really build a model to predict and then statistically valid about 78%, if I remember correctly the numbers here, the likelihood that the given person in the given conditions will likely have a high value price or insurance policy will be executed. So it's a little bit provocative because you can say it's not artificial intelligence. And I may say maybe it's not. It's a good use of statistics based on the large volumes of data. More, what's important down here, and that this is already happening, and this is what will be exposed more and more on that.
So what about ethic limitation? Because right...
This is evaluation of risk. Is the only difference is the computing power?
Not the only. I would say that here we can use, and thank you for the question, because that's the, it's maybe I should say it very straight from the beginning.
Who has, another question, who has chosen the new 75 areas of risk? The machine or man?
Okay, two questions then. So who has chosen and how it is chosen? I think it's the iterative process, because when you think what has changed, what the statistic is changing in our description of the world, for years, for centuries, first we've been thinking about the law, finding the law, and then checking that it's working in practice. So it was for years. Now it's revert. Now we have the data, then we find correlations, and we see, oh, that's the new law which I've been not aware about that. Because maybe on this example, there is a strong correlation between the time I am driving and the accident likeness. Maybe. But it is very difficult to have such a law defined. But then, when you have lots of data, you see that there is the correlation. So you need to take it into account. So coming to your question, who has made the decision? It is the process of developing the model. First, you have lots of many different items, characteristics, points, and then you think it's not related. But after a while, you can think, oh, it is significant influence. I can give you an example. In the IBM has been asked, has been posed the following question: where the producer of the suit should make the ads in the TV to increase the sales? What is the best day, period, to advertise suits for men to buy? The answer was, when the weather forecast is a change in the temperature is more than 10 degrees of Celsius, the likelihood of men buying the suit is greater. Tell you the truth, I don't remember that. But I think that's the point. There are, seems very distant elements, but that's influencing. And then you can make money out of that.
If you want to ask a question, you need to have a microphone because it's also a live stream. So
The bottom line question is, I understand that if you have more data, then you start to notice a new kind of a logical interactions in between the data. My question is, who makes a finding about this interaction? Can the machine make a finding about the new interaction by itself and then apply it effectively to the model, to the decision-making model?
Okay, the answer is both. The profession of data scientists is to make these connections visible, so by their experience, reiterating the finding that now. But what's happening right now, and there are already existing the tools, that we are using artificial intelligence to make the artificial model. So now what's really happening, that what's in deep neural network, it's like a hyperparameters, there are some other intelligence used to tune this network to find the best results. So now it's even coming to the point that other machine is learning some other machine. So I hope that answers your question.
I will just add something about the data, because we talk about ethic and data. Is this not about the anonymization of the data? Is the learning based really on the data which are coming from the customers, people, population? But end of the day, the whole analysis is not really done by concrete data related to the concrete person. This data are anonymized. Or what do you, yeah?
So for developing the model, you don't have to point that specific person, that me is me.
Absolutely.
It's more about the eligible data or representative data to build that this is the repeating pattern of behavior or influences or interrelation between even sometimes seeming very far elements.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yep.
So to add something also on ethics, very short question. So what about tracing back who made the decision? Because here we are getting the response from the black box. So who is the responsible for it, and how can we trace it back? Because right now it's not the human who is making the decision by kind of machine. Black box.
So it's a good question, and I do not have an easy answer right now. Our colleagues were showing some maturity models, how the AI can be used in the decision process. From the very top, machine is making decision, from the manual, me only, solely. In some industries, it is even obligatory, and it have to be proved that that decision can be traced back. So to some extent, definition of the model is defined by these hyperparameters in neural networks. The challenge you have, you don't know how you achieve this, because you could be a different set of the hyperparameters also giving you very much similar data. And I cannot give you the right good answer, but it's a good question to be asked during the thinking. What is a good case for me to implement to start my journey? Very first slide of this presentation were faces with recognizing with some probability who is he. So it's a face recognition. It's also a valid point. Do I want to be recognized and have a tag that Mr. Piotr Darwaj has been talking today and recognized by that? So it's another risk of artificial intelligence and misuse of that. So I would say there are barriers and we need to be aware of them. Please ask questions. It makes, for me, maybe more difficult, but I hope more interesting for you.
We can even show less examples, but to have a more interactive communication. So.
Okay, we do have some. Let's go to another example. Okay. And now, if I am so. Another thing, and it's a vast area of application of artificial intelligence. For us, it's a very easy scenario. Please find out whether this person has the helmet, has the gloves or glasses because he's working in restricted areas. For computer, it's a bits and bytes.
Yeah, Piotr, but this is very easy task for a human. So I can see if they are wearing gloves and hats. So why it is so complex and why it is so important to do it with the artificial intelligence? Every security, safety worker can do it instead of the artificial intelligence. So what's the case here?
Jarek, how long can you look at this picture not being bored?
Not much.
So exactly. So that's for us it's easier than for computer to recognize that. But when you have the people who have to work there for 24 hours, after half an hour, his perception level decrease and he starts omitting these evidences of not compliance. And that's the exactly case. While talking about computer vision, the applicability of these algorithms is where you have lots of data, lots of streams, because you can really distinguish what's happening on certain moment, for example, man without a helmet, and then focus only on this 5 seconds and react. So, and also it has been already proven and it's reported that for vision recognition, computers are better analyzers than persons, but under one condition: they are trained appropriately. And it's not easy task. This is working because this is such a repetitive lighting conditions. If they will start becoming dark, you need to have another model. So representative data for training is one of the key things which needs to be considered for training and for artificial intelligence. It was also one of the success factors provided. It's a yellow, so I don't know how much, but I think some other satellites. Another example, satellites, and then checking about the crops, what kind of the crops has been planted where, it's possible. And then finding out what might be misalignment of reported versus what's been actually grown there, because there are some EU funding, for example, related to that. So it's good to have check that we are all compliant. And another one, okay, another security, like finding the gun, the shape of the gun. And what's important, so I said, okay, I can find it out. The point here is that now we can train this computer for very specific shapes, and it can take a really short time, and it was a barrier long time, like a decade ago. I give you an example. I've been working on the project of recognizing new trees which are grown in the forest. There was like a storm or there was a fire and the new trees are growing. And we'd like to know, are they really forest is becoming once again green? So there is defined a model of finding the green trees, and processing of that, of developing the model, there was 2 weeks of processing to develop the model. Now the new, let's say, a new algorithm and also new optimized hardware and software that is giving these answers within the hours or even the minutes. So that's this is the big change. This is what I was saying. Before it was domain of supercomputers. Now it can be brought down to the and applicated in the business.
We are running out of time, so maybe we can go right now to some challenges and
Yep.
So to the next slide.
Voice to text. So talking to the computer, listening to the computer, something which probably we are already doing with Google, and navigate, go to the space. So that's happening. It's now how to make it in the business, how to make it really working for any other languages than English. But it's already happening. Lots of applications already existing in Poland as well.
Okay, so let's assume I'm right now convinced that there are business cases where we can use artificial intelligence. But what about barriers and limitations? First of all, lack of strategy. Probably most of our companies, they don't have strategy how and where to use artificial intelligence. The competencies shortage. probably also in most of our companies there are no data scientists to prepare the model, to train it. And also the ethical fears, the fear that I mentioned, so the black box, also the fear that machines will replace humans, and the other that machines are doing decisions for us, so they are controlling us, probably also doing some kind of scoring if they are also watching videos of us. So what's the question, what's the answer here?
Provocatively, I will not give you the answer, because I don't think so. We cannot use artificial intelligence. That's already happening. I would rather say is how we would consciously make good use of that. Lack of strategy. We need to prepare a good business case for that. Once again, KPMG report was saying that. So make good case for that and find out what it makes sense from the business perspective. Competences shortage. I think that's something which is really happening there. To be a data scientist, which I would define as a programmer and statistics, person who understands and uses effectively statistics in one, that's the data scientist. Good for us, there are already tools which automate some of these tasks, and we can overcome this barrier, and it will be overcoming easier and easier. Fear, I think it's education more so that. It's also conscious decisions. We talk about the gathering data of our me as a driver behavior. It's already like in Polish market, we do have proposals. I think there is one company which says, I can monitor your driving behavior, but then you can get lower costs of your insurance. And some of the people will go, no problem with that. I comply with the rules. Some of the busy and always in a hurry businessmen say, no, I am more like a risky person, so I prefer to have don't want to be monitored. But that's about how to use the data, how to make this decision. And also, as you see, some of the people will share this data. And they said, I'm okay. I normally comply on that. So fear is about education and about explaining, and also about regulations as well. GDPR was mentioned here. Yes, this is another act which we maybe sometimes do not understand why it's so hot topic. But when we think that artificial intelligence comes into place, we should be also focusing on that aspect.
Okay, so right now one of my last arguments, so the real life case where the artificial intelligence really lost with human. So there was a debate in the US where there was a challenge between IBM debater and real human. They get to know the topic of debate 15 minutes before it. It was subsidized preliminary school education. And they had to prepare arguments to convince the audience to their arguments. And although the IBM debater had very good arguments, it lost. It lost because of lack of emotional intelligence. So why still the so powerful and good artificial intelligence is still losing with real humans?
That was the IBM tool, so I hope they will improve. But also it comes to me that, yes, for us, artificial intelligence defined as a mimicking person, it's not so easy. We do have our emotions. But you know, what happened in future, I don't know. But being more practical, I would say, looking at our Polish market, already there are businesses which are starting, like shops which would be self-operated and that everything would be by mass. There is the CCTV, there is the AI to be used. I think in June they are starting to be opened. So I don't think so that there is a question we shall await is to how to make the conscious decision to start this new journey. So whatever the fears we do have, it's happening in many places. You are interested in that. So now how to make your first step, this is where definitely we are ready to help.
Okay, we run out of time, but we still have some questions from our live stream viewers. So I think that we can right now thank you, all the live stream viewers and people that are here, and we will try to answer all those questions by email or by phone.
But maybe we can try.
Yes?
I have a couple of them. Maybe I can give you. Pytanie od Eleny. Czy w Polsce są już stosowane w firmach rozwiązania AI w HR? Można prosić o przykłady. Jednym z... Do we have in Poland implemented AI in HR domain? Please give us examples. So there are one of the areas where I've heard about which are implemented, but I'm not sure that it is in Poland, but it's a global company, so maybe it is also in Poland. One of the challenge the HR department got, they are getting lots of CVs. So if it's a global company analyzing and categorizing what is the best role we are now having, that's not easy task. So there was an algorithm which was developed that is like a matching our demand for the skills versus what we have got. And they developed the tool which analyzes the text and makes the first matching. So it's kind of the assistance for selecting the best CVs for the given role which the people are looking for. So this is what I am aware of. I am not sure whether it's in Poland, but that was one of the references I've heard. And the second question, I think it's also quite interesting. What do you think about a product which would be prognosticating employee burnout and his likeness of changing the workplace? I haven't thought about it, but I think from my perception and thinking, it's not a very difficult task to achieve. Because let me think about how the person who is burnout is behaving, what he's doing. Actually, he's quite likely browsing quite a lot of web pages looking for a job. Okay, it's maybe company policy whether I can trace this activity or not. Then second would be how much he's maybe spending time of actually doing or versus not doing or looking around. So we can trace his behavior, and that's probably quite a good predictor of what we're doing. Then ethical thing would come into place. What about monitoring to such a degree of such a person? But just as a summary, I think we should find a couple of good predictors of finding that a person maybe needs support from us or need like a coaching or discussion about what he motivates or maybe what he is stressed within the workplace. So thank you from my side.
We will try to contact all of you after the conference to talk with you and to find real-life solutions to your business. So how you can really implement artificial intelligence to your business and to work all those barriers that we also showed, to find some kind of solutions, also the solutions that were, let's say, even created by those people that asked those questions. So I'd like to thank you all the live stream viewers. We are finishing the live stream right now.